I think it's not impossible. It's definitely a long shot, but if any team has the potential, it's definitely the Celtics team. Like, just look at the roster. There is a reason that this team was the favorites to win it all. So if any team can come back, at least on paper, maybe it's the Celtics team, but I'm not sure if I still trust them. Because once again, if this game was closer, I think in the final minutes of the fourth quarter, I still would have put my money on the Heat live because the Celtics are not great usually in the clutch. Luckily, they had a huge lead going into the final few minutes, so Jimmy Butler was kind of negated here. And also, the Heat didn't hit their threes. So I feel like it's still the Heat. I need to double check these prices. Or is there any value on the Heat now? Like, what are the series prices? I'm wondering. I would imagine it's still the Heat, probably big favorites.
Yes.
But maybe you can get better value on the Heat to win it all. Maybe those odds have shifted a little bit because I still think it's the Heat that pull it out.
The Heat are minus 275 to win the series. The Celtics are plus 225. So I'm not stunned that the Heat are minus 225. I am a little stunned that, and of course, these are balanced out depending on which side you like. But I'm surprised when you talk about the history of the team trailing in this series has never come back. I'm surprised that the Celtics are only plus 225. It feels like to me that the market still doesn't quite respect the Heat. They do, but even if you look ahead to Game 5, the Celtics are 7.5-point favorites, which seems ridiculous to me. So, yeah, I guess the Heat were respected enough where they were finally the favorites last night in Game 4, and even that line shortened in a big way where the Celtics were only 1-point dogs. So even now, it feels to me that the odds makers don't respect Miami.
Okay, so what's the reasoning behind Rafi Devers today? Because you've had like some analysis. It's not like you're just throwing a dartboard. Why do you like Devers today?
So Tyler Anderson is pitching for the Angels. In 4 at-bats against him in his career, Rafael Devers has 2 hits. One of them is a home run. So I look at if you have a lower, the percentage of times you have hit a home run against him. So even if it's like 48 at-bats and you have 2 home runs, I look more at the lower number at-bats, higher number home run, percentage-wise ratio to, that's my understanding of math, but that is what it seems to me that if the lower number of at-bats to home run ratio is what I look at. So 4 at-bats, 1 home run seems pretty good to me. He's Rafi Devers. He had 2 home runs on the 19th in the same game. That's the last time he hit a home run, and he is due for another one. So I like him to hit one tonight.
We are less than 100 days away, which I'm sure you are aware, until football season. And you said during the break, so we have to get into this, that you have decided now that Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the Jets, is now your soulmate. I'm glad you have found him. And listen, I'm not even kidding. Would it stun me if at some point all of a sudden I look at some sort of game and it could be on the sidelines of some baseball, whatever, or in the stands, and you're sitting there with Aaron Rodgers? I can see that happening. I can see you manifesting it. Why is Aaron Rodgers now your soulmate?
Yeah, if I went out with him, maybe, free cleanses, free trips to resorts where you don't do anything for weeks and you just do cleanses for weeks on end. Yesterday, he said to the media that he loves Jersey Shore. And my heart, when I tell you I saw that, and my heart leapt, because no one references this amazing show anymore. The importance of Jersey Shore to the American lexicon and society and just the history of America cannot be understated. And Aaron Rodgers brings it back into the forefront. And there are probably people who are in their early 20s, they're 18, early 20s, who have never seen Jersey Shore. There are probably plenty of people who have never seen Jersey Shore. But he stated how great this, she's a phenomenal show, he said. It brought us such things as GTL, cabs are here, t-shirt time, just endless material and content. And Jersey Shore is a very important show. And Aaron Rodgers, now knowing that he loves it, I fell in love with him. That's just the way it is.
All right, take your pick. Number one, plenty of shortstops, got big contracts in the offseason. Let's check in on a few of them and see how they're doing, and some of them not doing so well. Which one of these teams may want a redo for the shortstop that they gave big cash to? Jinx, I'll start with you. Take your pick out of these shortstops. Which one is having the worst season so far? Trey Turner of the Phillies, Carlos Correa of the Twins, or Xander Bogaerts of the Padres? Take your pick.
I was thinking about this earlier. Also, I find it funny that Trey Turner was asked about his slow start. I don't know if you guys saw that. And he said simply, I've sucked. So he hasn't been great. But listen, Trey Turner, compared to Carlos Correa, which is who I'm going with, has been brilliant compared to Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa has been terrible. 213, 6 home runs. And I think context matters here in that the Twins need Carlos Correa. It's a team that has already had issues generating runs during different parts of the season, including now. And by the way, he's out again with an injured left heel. When you talk about a guy who bounced around, signed with this team, signed with that team, signed with this team, and then finally ends up with the Twins, if you're Twins fans, you have to feel like, well, you didn't want to be here anyway. Now you're back. You've been injured and you're not producing. Just relative to the other guys, he hasn't performed well. They need him more. And he was trying to leave anyway. So I'm going to go Carlos Correa.
I think that's the only logical answer here, just because the predicament that got him here. Like you said, Carlos Correa wanted to go to 1,000 different teams, but instead he had to stick with the Twins. And now he's not even producing. He's hitting 213. But let me say this. It is the month of May. And for people saying, oh, Trey Turner hit more home runs in the World Baseball Classic than he did in the regular season. Like, it's still May. There's still plenty of time for all of these guys to turn things around. And this is what I'll say about Carlos Correa. If the Twins make it to the postseason, Carlos Correa is Mr. Clutch. He has been there, done that in the postseason. So maybe he's not been good in the regular season just yet. But still, if you make it to October, this is when he really shines. So this is part of the reason his price tag is so big. So if the Twins are contending, I don't think they will be, being mad about this decision at all. So I'll say Carlos Correa, but if they get to the postseason, he's Mr. Clutch. I think they'll like having him in the lineup.
Yeah, all three of these guys are not having great years, obviously. That's why they made this list. But Correa, I have to give it to him because of what Chelsea, you and Jinx both pointed out. How many different teams did he go sign with and want to play for before he ended up back with the Twins? And you're going to give all this money to this guy who's now hitting 215, 213, whatever it is. So, yeah, it's got to be Correa at this point.
No, absolutely in no way, shape, or form is LeBron retiring after this season. I mean, he's said so many times that he wants to play with his son, Bronny, and he set up his contract in LA so he can move to whatever team, can be a free agent when Bronny first has the ability to enter the league. He's going to be a freshman at USC, obviously has to play 1 year there, and then could come into the league. So that's one factor right there. Two, you don't think LeBron wants like a farewell retirement tour? He's going to want that for sure. So for him just to bow out this quietly, no, I don't believe that either. And the guy is very smart. You got to give him that. He gets swept in the Western Conference Finals, and he flips the narrative to him possibly retiring. Not the fact that his team just got swept, not the fact that the Nuggets are a far superior team than the Lakers, but that he might retire. So now we're not talking about the success of the Nuggets. We're not talking about the lack of success for the Lakers. We're just talking about LeBron, and he orchestrated all of that perfectly. So I don't think he retires. I think he waits and does try and play with his son once Bronny's able to come into the league. But we will definitely be seeing LeBron James on the floor next year.
Oh, for sure. LeBron loves attention way too much to go down without a retirement farewell tour. So I think you're spot on there. Kate, you're not afraid to be contrarian. We saw it yesterday, picking the Celtics. You and PJ were like alone on Celtics Island, but it was the right call. So talk us off the square play in this next game, because I feel like it's super square, but you see the Heat getting 7.5 points in this game against the Celtics, and I want to run and put all of my money on the Heat getting 7.5. What am I not seeing here?
I've already run and put all my money on the Heat 7.5, Chelsea. So I'm right there with you. Jimmy Butler said after the game, he was asked in his post-game press conference, does this build momentum for Boston? And he shut that down immediately. He said, no, it's going to build more momentum for us. It's going to motivate us more. And you think about that with a team, I don't know, any team other than the Heat. And maybe Boston does have a little bit more momentum going into game 5. But the team, the Heat and the team culture that they have, I totally believe Jimmy in that this is going to motivate them even more. And we get a solid performance from the Heat in game 5. So I've already bet them. I wouldn't discourage anyone from even taking them on the money line. I think the Heat finish this series 5 games, one good performance. And I mean, it was a second half performance from Boston. All of a sudden, all the narratives throughout this entire series have flipped, and Boston is back being the team that can be the first team to come back from down 0-3. I just don't see that happening. And there's been so many, whether it's coaching or motivation or, team chemistry issues with the Celtics, that one win is not deterring me from betting on the Heat to not only cover this, but probably advance after game 5.